No one's even gonna.
Well, the good thing is, I think we have to stick to our.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Woburn City Council of November 18, 2025. Just a reminder to everyone, tonight's meeting is being recorded for broadcast. Also, please silence your cell phones. If you are able, please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Higgins, if you would please call the roll.
Counsel Campbell.
Present.
Counsel Demers.
Present.
Counsel DeMambro.
Present.
Counsel Ferrulo.
Present.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Present.
Counsel Papalato.
Present.
Counsel Toro.
Present.
Counsel Viola.
Present.
President Dillon.
Present.
Make a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's journal and approve. Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
First,
Before we start, Clerk Higgins, could I just welcome Council-elect for Ward 1, Yano Amara, will be observing tonight. Thank you.
first item on the agenda we have is a presentation by CBiz regarding the end-of-year independent audit result. Communication dated November 13th, 2025 was received from His Honor the Mayor, Michael P. Concanon.
Make a motion that communications received made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion we suspend the rules to allow His Honor the Mayor, Michael P. Concanon, or his designees to speak.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Mayor Concanon, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm well, Mr. President. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
To you and members of the council, thank you for your time tonight. As the clerk indicated, we're requesting a little bit of time so that our outside independent auditing firm, CBiz CPAs, can present their report and findings regarding the audit for the city of Woburn for the fiscal year which ended June 30th, 2024. I have Mr. Frank Soretti with me, and I'm also joined by the city auditor, Charlie Doherty, in case there are any questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Soretti.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
How are you tonight?
I'm very good. How are you tonight?
You have the floor, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. I'd just like to start off by thanking the mayor, city auditor, treasurer collector, school business office, and the rest of the city finance team. Everybody was really great about getting us the information that we needed, and answering all of our questions. Very good cooperation throughout the course of the audit. As part of the audit package, you should have got something that's called a governance letter, and that is a letter to those charged with governance, some required communications in there, and I thought I could start off just by going through that letter, highlighting some things in there for you, and then I have some financial highlights that I thought I would go over, and take any questions that you might have after that. So that governance letter, if you have it, I don't think you'll really need it if you don't have it in front of you.
Some of the counselors.
I
through the
never
chair.
got it for the record.
Yeah, we
I
have
just have
nothing.
a letter.
Okay, well, we can make sure that that gets forwarded to you.
Thank you.
Right. So it just starts off about talking about the auditor's responsibility for the audit, and that our primary responsibility is to express an opinion on the financial statements as to whether they're fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It also talks about our responsibility for planning and performing the audit, and that as part of that, we consider the city's internal controls of a financial reporting, and that's, to determine our auditing procedures for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the financial statements. And the objective of that is not to give an opinion on the internal controls. We're also responsible for obtaining reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. We perform tests of compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, grants, and contracts. However, the objective of those procedures is not to express an opinion on compliance with those laws and regulations. Generally accepted accounting principles requires certain information to be included in the financial statements. It's referred to as required supplementary information, and that is management's discussion and analysis, and also the schedule, budget to actual schedule for the general fund, the pension schedules, and the other post-employment benefits schedules. And we perform certain procedures related to the required supplementary information. It's kind of separate from the body of the basic financial statements. However, those procedures are not sufficient enough that we would be able to give an opinion or provide assurance on those schedules. Just want to make you aware of that.
Mr. President, may I just ask a question? Don't we usually get packets that come with this?
We have in the past, but
We will forward that down here. This is a synopsis of it. If there's any further questions after the fact, we'll get that to you. Thank you.
thank you, Charlie.
The next section in the letter talks about the plan, scope, and timing of the audit and significant risks. The audit includes examining information on a test basis, supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements, and it involves judgment of the auditor regarding the number of transactions and the test to be performed. We're also required to assess what's considered to be significant risks in the audit. And one risk that's always considered to be a significant risk in all the audits we do is management override of controls. And so we're required to respond to that risk and perform certain procedures to address it. And what that means is that management has the authority and the discretion to be able to override controls. And that creates a potential for fraud, and it also is difficult to detect misstatements in the financial statements if it occurs. To respond to that risk, we end up incorporating an element of unpredictability into the audit, and what that means is that we don't perform the same procedures every year. We try not to be predictable so that management, is not prepared for the things that we're going to ask for. We also take a really close look at journal entries, because that's another area where management can override controls. And with our firm, we have a data service center that we can go through to make the selections, and they actually use state-of-the-art software where we can give them different criteria that, dates and amounts and terminology, different things that we think might lead to an entry that might be indicative of management override of controls. We also assigned experienced staff to the engagement to address that risk. We review estimates for bias, and we evaluate all significant and unusual transactions. Based on all of our audit procedures, we didn't encounter anything that we thought was a sign of management override of control, so there were no issues or anything related to that risk. But like I said, it's something that we are required to consider and to perform procedures to respond to. The next section of the letter talks about qualitative aspects of accounting practices, and it talks about management's responsibility for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. And those accounting policies can be found in Note 1 of the financial statements. There were no new policies adopted during the year, and the application of existing policies was not changed. It also talks about accounting estimates being an integral part of the financial statements. The most significant estimates in the financial statements relate to the pension liability, the other post-employment benefits liability, and the depreciation on fixed assets. We reviewed the underlying assumptions that were used to develop the estimates, and we found them to be reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. Certain financial statement disclosures are particularly sensitive just because of their significance to the financial statements. And again, the most significant estimates in the financial statements relate to the pension and OPEB liabilities. We reviewed the disclosures and we found them to be neutral, consistent, and clear. Next section talks about difficulties encountered while performing the audit. I'm happy to report that we had no difficulties in dealing with management while performing the audit. As I mentioned up front, everybody was very cooperative and very good about getting us the information that we needed and answering our questions on a timely basis, so no issues there whatsoever. Independence. As part of the audit, we're engaged to perform certain non-attest services, and those mainly include preparation of the financial statements, converting the financial statements to the accrual basis of accounting, consolidating governmental and business type activities, and preparation of the Federal Audit Clearinghouse submission report. And as part of that, we have to review our relationship and management's relationship. And when we did that, we found that we would be able to maintain our independence, in fact, in appearance. Next section talks about corrected and uncorrected misstatements. We're required to accumulate all known and likely misstatements that we identified during the audit, and we're required to communicate any misstatements that are not considered to be trivial. So if they're more than trivial, then we're required to communicate those to management. We did have 2 adjustments that are attached to the letter. When you receive it, you'll see that there's an attachment to it. And it's not anything that's really that significant, but
President, I'm sorry.
Yes, Councilman Braun.
I'm just a little confused because you're reading from that documentation. We very often, more often than I remember, we always have something in front of us. Always. Why don't we have any of this information tonight?
I'm not sure why that didn't get forwarded to you.
Okay. Okay, I think it might be more appropriate, and this is just my suggestion, is while we're waiting for those copies, maybe we move on to some other business so the council can actually take a look at what is all this conversation. I mean, it's very hard to follow, and it's extremely unusual. This is the first time, I've been doing this a long time. I never remember not having in the little blue packet, it always comes in the same envelope, nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure
This is
why.
not, I'm just saying, I don't find this helpful at all, not to even have anything to look at. So that's my suggestion, but I'm only one person.
I'll make that in the form of a
I had
motion.
just made it, yes, sir, that is in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a,
Motion to lay this on the table?
Yes, thank you.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. If you just give us a little bit, we'll call you
Thank you,
back
sir.
up.
Sure.
Thank you,
Thank
President Dillon.
Yep.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is a communication dated November 12, 2025, from His Honor the Mayor regarding the award of $525,000 grant from Mass Works program.
Make a motion the matter be received and placed on file.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Next item on the agenda is communication dated November 12 from His Honor the Mayor as well regarding award of a $100,000 grant from the Main Street Makeover Grant Program.
Same action.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes as well.
Next item on the new petitions is the petitions for 2026 renewal for first-class motor vehicle sales licenses.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petitions for 2026 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Next item is a petition for 2026 renewal for third-class motor vehicle sales license.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Petition for approval pursuant Mass General Laws, Chapter 268A, Section 20B, for contract for snow plowing services by Stephen Mealy.
Make a motion that the authorization to provide personal services pursuant to MGL Chapter 268A, Section 20B be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Petition for new secondhand dealers and secondhand collector's license for Manzi Marketplace at 3 Green Street, Unit 1 and 2.
Motion the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
On the petition by NSTAR Electric Company, DBA Eversource, for service to 38 Central Street.
Same action.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
On the petition by NSTAR for grant of location to install one hip guy at pole 290-6 in Leonard Street.
Make a motion the matter be referred to public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
On the petition by Tracy Jackson for a special permit under 15.6.c for addition to a single-family residential dwelling in the groundwater protection district at 57 Marlborough Road.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
The petition by the City of Woburn for a special permit under Section 5.179 and Section 15 for the municipal use for a fire station in the groundwater protection district at 240 Lexington Street.
Make a motion the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
May continue the public hearing.
Be back with copies. Yep.
First item on the agenda under public hearings is Milton Real Properties of Massachusetts, DBA Milton Rents for a special permit under Section 5.145 for the rental of compact construction equipment, including accessory repair at 210 New Boston Street. Let me just see. Not on the extended agenda was a communication dated November 14, 2025, from the United States EPA to Matt Bobkowski, the project manager at VHB, regarding an Industriplex Superfund site EPA approval of 11/4/2025, et cetera, was received.
Make a motion the communication is received, made part of the permanent records.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Attorney Huck, how are you tonight?
Very well, sir. We are here hopefully to conclude this. I think that with the tender and of the EPA letter and the incorporation into the permanent record, I think that answers the questions that were raised in the last two that we had. And I've looked at the, we've looked at the additional, proposed additional conditions to the special permit, and we have no objection to any of those. So with that said, and unless there's any other questions, we'd like a vote.
Any questions? Councilor DeMambo.
Attorney Malcolm, I have had communications in person with Joe LeMay from the EPA. He has no issues. The letter pretty much states it. I also had a communication with the Commissioner Quinn, Building Inspectional Services, as early as this afternoon, late this afternoon. He has no issues with this permit. The fire department, according to what I was told, they don't have any issues. So other than that, you've accepted all of the 17 conditions of the draft. I'd like to move on this, and I would ask my fellow councilors if they would go along and approve this with the vote. Thank you.
Anyone else for any questions?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
before we close it, we need to do the conditions,
Think the
correct?
matter's been dispensed with by the confirmation by the councilor, no?
You asked me?
Yeah, Madam Clerk, if I may, through
Sure.
the President.
I mean,
The
there was
draft-
17
the
set
draft was-
conditions. He said he agrees with, or
Yep.
So we're good. Okay, very good. Is a motion and, was there a second on that?
motion for?
To close the
Thank
public
you.
hearing.
Closed. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion that the special permit be granted with the 7 conditions as outlined here this evening.
17.
17.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Good luck.
Good luck.
I said 17.
Thank you.
We'll go back to the tape. I said 17.
Next item on the agenda is a
Both on top of
petition
me.
by Adriana Rodriguez for a special permit under section 5.157A for the accessory storage or parking of 2 storage containers at 494 Main Street. A communication dated November 10th, 2025 was received from the petitioner requesting the petition be amended, as well as not on the extended agenda was a communication dated November 18th, 2025 from Mark J. Salvati, the city solicitor. Further communication dated November 18th, 2025 was received from President Dilling from the owner of 474 Mike Palmer regarding M. Palmer/easement. Another communication dated November 18th was received by President Dillon from Mike Palmer, the owner of 474 Main Street, regarding M. Palmer.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Petitioner is here.
How are you both today?
Good, good. Good evening, Mr. President and members of the council. My name is Juliana Caldera.
I'm Adriana Rodriguez. She's going to be speaking on my behalf.
Adriana is the owner of Casanova Butcher Shopping Cafe, located at 494 Main Street in Woburn. First, thank you all for your time and your patience and your service. I appreciate this opportunity to present my final amended request, fully documented, corrected, and verified. When we first appeared before this council, the proposed include 2 storage containers to be put behind the building. Since then, we have listened carefully to every concern, acted on every recommendation, especially from the fire department, working with licensed professionals to make sure that we had all the required changes. The request is now formally amended to include only 1 single 20-foot container used exclusively for storage within the existing parking area behind the building. The new proposal meets all zoning, safety, and boundary requirements. Immediately after the last meeting, we contacted the fire department and made sure the container is positioned to maintain a clear zone for maintenance and emergency egress. Mello Design prepared a revised site plan and it's dated October 20th, 2025. It includes photographs, the project's narrative, and technical data, providing that the container does not block any traffic or access. Last week, the council received a memo from Thomas Quinn Jr., the building commissioner. It is dated November 13th, and his findings are extremely important and directly support this amended request. Mr. Quinn reviewed the 2016 plan for 494 Main Street, and it shows no right-of-way on the property. He also reviewed the 2022 plan for 474 through 482 Main Street, and it also shows no right-of-way along the boundary. He also reviewed the historic 1944 instrument, book 6780. You all should have it, and he acknowledged it references a pass-through in man's courts, but noted clearly that it is not identified on any modern plan or not recorded as touching 494 Main Street. Most importantly, Mr. Quinn stated that if the right-of-way has been abandoned, the current location of the container would not be considered any violation of the zoning ordinance, provided the City Council grants a special permit. Tonight, through the documentation we are submitting, I'm providing exactly that there's no right-of-way that was abandoned, extinguished, and it has no legal authority over 494 Main Street. And earlier this year, while the request still involved 2 containers, the planning director sent a memo to the council raising concerns about screening, safety, and parking. We took every point seriously and acted on them in good faith. Since then, the project has been completely redesigned and reduced to 1 single container, fully reviewed by the fire department. Every technical issue from that memo has been addressed, documented, and corrected. However, sometimes reports or extra reviews arise from incomplete information or even outside influence, not from verified facts. I'm not accusing anyone, but it is possible that individuals with personal or business interests try to shape on how this case has perceived before all evidence was presented. Tonight, we have the complete and accurate record verified by the fire department, the building commissioner, the registry of deeds, and licensed professionals. And I respectfully ask that the council base its decision only on verified facts. Questions arose about access and easements, and to eliminate any and all doubt, we commissioned a comprehensive title review at the Registry of Deeds, covering 1939 to 2005, for both 494 and 482 Main Street. And the findings were no record easement or right-of-way crosses 494 Main Street. And the historic reference, the book 6780, describes a small internal pass-through inside men's courts, shared by the owners of men's courts at that time. That clause was never carried away or carried forward in the deeds from 1944 through 2000. It reappeared once only in 2005 when the neighbor purchased his property, but at that time it had no legal validity. Under Massachusetts law, when an easement is not continuously recorded, it becomes legally extinguished. Therefore, any claims of access through 494 Main Street or even through men's courts is invalid, unenforceable, and abandoned. The Mirror Trust Realty Trust Declaration contains no easement in their language either. The plan book 374 proves that men's courts and 4 Main Street are separate independent parcels, as you guys can see on this picture. They're completely different. And the record also says that it's completely independent. There's no shared access, no recorded right-of-way, no legal burdens, no shared rights attached to it. Respectfully, I must address the situation at 482 Main Street. Information from outside parties has caused confusion. My neighbor placed concrete barriers, and we're gonna change it for you. So my neighbor has placed concrete barriers and painted lines extending beyond his property into men's court, giving the false impression that the area is his. For months, vehicles from his tenants have been parked here, even though official deeds prove the space belongs to men's courts, not him. This photo clearly shows vehicles from 482 Main Street parked past their parcel limits with barriers and stripes suggesting private ownership. By occupying land beyond his deed, the neighbor violates both the Woburn zoning ordinance and the city property use regulations. For years, he has used the rear of the property, or my property, through no legal right-of-way ever existed. That use was mere tolerance, not a legal right. And going forward, I will restrict all access through 494 Main Street. There will be no passage through my property because the law does not authorize it. This is not hostility. It is lawful property management and fairness. Boundaries have defined by deeds and statutes, not by influence or convenience. I ask the council to acknowledge and uphold the verified property lines, confirming that 482 Main Street has no legal access through 494 Main Street. 482 Main Street currently has obstructing, occupying spots through without a permit. Casanova Butcher Shop and Cafe is a family business serving Woburn for years. We contribute to the local economy and take pride in compliance. This permit is not an expansion, it's an organization, it's for organization and safety. A single container keeps our operation clean, efficient, and secure. And granting this permit supports the business that values integrity, cooperation, respect, and city processes. Mr. President and members of the council, I have met every requirement and worked with every department. All facts, plans, and laws are now before you. There are no uncertainties left. The fire department approved the plan. The building commissioner confirms that there's no right-of-way. In granting this, permits will not violate zoning. Planning concerns are resolved. The title record is certified, is complete, is ambiguous, and I respectfully ask this council to approve the amended special permits for one storage container, uphold verified property boundaries, confirming that 480 and 482 Main Street has no legal access through 494 Main Street. And also, these are all facts verified by law and documentation. To deviate from them would contradict the city's own regulations and public records. And when we first arrived here today,
1 second. Yes, Clerk Higgins.
Can I just confirm for the record, you're reading a letter from Adriana and you're not
Yes,
the owner?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
And when we first arrived today, we received this memo. So we recognize that this last-minute memo or shifting of interpretations may arise because of outside conversations or political pressures. But I want to be clear that I'm not accusing any official of wrongdoing. But also, I believe it's important to acknowledge that my neighbor is well-connected in this city. And some of these late developments appear to reflect that influence. Even so, I trust that this council will look beyond any external pressure and make this decision based solely on verified evidence. The fire department's findings, the building commissioner's conclusions, and the registry of deeds, and the clear legal boundary lines. So we appreciate your time, your attention, and your commitment to fairness. And we trust this council to uphold the law, protect the integrity of the process, and approve the request in the best interest for the city of Woburn and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the council? Councilor DeManville.
That was quite the dissertation you put up. It's hard to argue with that one. I went down there
Good point.
and I walked the site. And what I don't understand is when I go down to and I do a site visit, and everybody complains that there's no space, but then I go down there and I see loaders, I see cars that haven't moved in probably months. I see a box truck, I don't know whose that is, but it seemed like these vehicles haven't moved in quite some time.
Right. That's from,
Can you please speak into the microphone?
You're gonna have to
You-
speak.
that's
need to
from
be a-
the neighbor from 480, 482 Main Street.
Okay, so as well as there's two grease receptacles down there as well. I'm not sure if both of those are in service with your restaurant or your store.
That's also the neighbor.
So it seems like there's an encroachment all the way around that back property, by which it seems to be the person that says there's no room, he's occupying a lot of space down there.
Correct.
So, you know, my view is first step is housekeeping. I think if space is an issue, the number one thing is you got to clean your house. Like you got to empty that yard out. There's so much stuff down there. I went in there with my truck and I had a hell of a time getting out of there. It's really tight. It's extremely tight without having all of that stuff down there. And there's all kinds of stuff. And I didn't know whose was whose or what. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is I did see the 10 by 20 container down there. It has been hardwired. It doesn't seem to obstruct his dumpsters that are at the far portion of that lot. I could see that there was enough access for a carting service to get in there with a truck, so I'm not sure if that glass holds water at all. I did see your dumpsters. I believe there's two. There was a recycling dumpster as well as a common trash dumpster. Maybe bring those down on your size, but again, if you're generating that much trash, keep it as is. So I see what's down there right now isn't really an impediment with keeping that 10 by 20 that's already existing. I would not support adding any more containers down there at this point because it's extremely tight. But again, I would recommend housekeeping down there. Whose ever stuff it is, it should be removed to loosen that up down there so that, vehicles can come and go to stores and whatnot, and the commerce down there. My final thing is, I didn't notice any rodent control down there when I was down there walking that site. That's a concern. That's something that should be addressed. Rodent control should be priority one down there, especially in a food service type industry. So that's all I have right now, but I would support that one container tonight, just seeing what I saw. But I also recommend, and I highly recommend my fellow councilors support housekeeping down there, and I will be reaching out to Commissioner Quinn to address that. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a company for the rodents that we use. Mhm.
I just want to add, before I used to have a fence here to try to avoid the trash that my neighbors will always put in the back and try to maintain clean. Again, I mind my business, They seem to mind my business as well. So I try to keep safe and separate for them. And then at the beginning of the year, I told them, I want this to look good, to be peaceful. We can all share one container. I can remove this, but you gotta clean the back because it was just trash in the back. So he agreed to clean, but once he cleaned, he put all the cars there, and there's no agreement on anything. So I do want them to remove this because they are not supposed to be here at all because it's not their land. None of this, even the berries that they put it here, they put this thing here too from the restaurant, the grease trap. None of this is mine. It's always neighbors. And since I moved there, I've been fighting with the Board of Health. The first time that I went to the Board of Health and I asked for help because it was so much trash in the back, and I'm been asking them for help, and then that's when they told me, you gotta do yours and then block that, and that's what I put the fence on. And since then, I'm trying to maintain everything clean. So just want to clarify, none of this mess, it's mine, for sure.
Thank you. Councilor Demers. Councilor DeMambo, you all set?
Do you have another point?
Councilor Demers.
Thank you. So as you can see by how many different people we asked for comment on this, there was a lot of information kind of thrown at us during one of the public hearings. So we wanted to make sure that we kind of took a look at it through the lens of the professionals as opposed to just us, because a lot of us don't look at plot plans like that to figure out what's a right of way or a easement. And I think we got a little bit of clarity on that.
We didn't either. We didn't even know what easement meant.
Yeah, and I mean it's
We went
difficult
to- we
because
looked for the information.
you're commonly looking at documents from the 30s or the 60s or the 80s, and it's difficult to narrow down. But I will say that listening to a lot of what you brought up, if a neighbor's violating local city ordinances, you should be always in contact with the commissioner's office or one of your counselors. That way we can get the commissioner to go down there and review to see if there's any local ordinances being violated. While we write the ordinances here, they're the enforcement folks over at the building services. So they will be the ones that go out and enforce it. We won't be able to dictate anything from the chair of the council here, okay? The other thing is when there becomes a property line, property dispute, or anything like that, that's for civil court outside of here. We don't settle arguments. So I noticed some of the language in your statement tended to seem as if you wanted us to make a finding tonight or make a ruling in terms of whose property is what. We can't wade into those matters here. That would have to be a civil proceeding, or you'd have to provide the other property owner with the title review to have that. But that needs to happen between property owners and lawyers. Unfortunately, it can't happen directly with us. I will say one thing. Initially, when you came here, you talked about your business expanding, and we want to support every business in downtown. But it's also got to be reasonable expansion in the current space you have, especially if it's going to involve an exterior container. And I understand that your initial presentation, you were talking about you're about to hit your very busy season with the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I'm assuming on the other side, Easter, or any of the feasts that happen during those holidays. So What I would propose is that this evening, we amend the permit to allow for the one container. And I would rather see a duration of 6 months be agreed to rather than the full year. And I only say that this evening because, you know, I'm more than willing to support a local business to get them through the holidays. Maybe you have another 6 months to start looking to see if there's other sites in downtown Woburn. We want to keep you here in Woburn, all right? We want to try and support businesses. But I think extending this out 1 year, we're going to be right back here right before Thanksgiving, and it's the holiday season again. And we don't want to make a decision that's detrimental to your business during the holidays again, because that's a good talking point when it comes to, you know, a busy time. I just think it would be reasonable to come back here in 6 months and have this discussion again, and just to see about it, because I think pushing it out a year, we'll just be back here again and saying my business is expanding, and, you know,
It's
the
not our
holidays are
intention.
coming.
We know it's pretty much a Band-Aid. We were looking for a different solution. This was the least expensive and the fastest one. And I'm leery about setting the precedent in the downtown with the exterior storage containers, because I think there might be a lot of other businesses downtown that may want to afford themselves of this if they have some parking in the rear of their facilities. That's my only concern, because once you do one, people tend to get comfortable with it, and it tends to be something. I would remind my colleagues on this council that we've had multiple permits come before us for this type of thing, where we've thrown the book almost at these folks. We've given a few extensions out there, but we've basically said we do not want to see Conex-style containers visible. And that previous permit that caused a lot of debate on this council did not have that much of a viewable access for the general public or in a downtown area. It was in a commercial area that had residents above it that could see those storage containers. So I think we need to be consistent, and we need to not have, you know, a precedent that will impact us or tie our hands in the future. I want to help you folks out. I'm going to support the amendment and the limitations with the proposed conditions. And, you know, come back to us in 6 months and let's talk again. I don't mind doing that. But I think if we move it out a year, we're back right before the holidays again, and everything's, you know, kind of busy and nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I
and-
would never do that. I would wait for the summer, to be very honest. And then
Yeah,
I
no,
would,
but
you
it's,
know,
on our end, we need to have like a deadline. There needs to be
Yeah.
a deadline that we sit back and we're looking out for the taxpayers and the quality of life in the city as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I originally was going to vote against this, but listening to what Councilor Demers said, I do think 6 months would be a good amount of time to come back and relook at this. I do think it'd be opening up a can of worms in our downtown area if we would allow Connex boxes to go down there. I mean, parking's tight. People that do have parking, it's very small areas that they have. We don't want to open up that can of worms, as I said, by allowing this to happen, and then next thing you know, every shop or business down in Woburn downtown is going to want to have this. And I do feel bad. I support our local businesses, but we tell other people no, and they're not in our downtown area, where this is downtown, very visible, easily seen. One thing I do want to bring up is I was driving through there over the weekend, and I noticed that there were vehicles that were parked up on the apron, your sidewalk, and
the neighbors were there, right?
on your side of the property. But the signs were moved and stuff, so I don't know if it's
There's
your...
car on top of the walkway and the street. Once the police was there, I said, no, he said it's okay. I mean, so my customers cannot park there, but the owners of the house can. That's what I was told. So, you know,
Okay.
I mind my business, you know.
I'd just say be mindful of the street and everything. Make sure your customers aren't parking on sidewalks. Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it. Councilor Campbell.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the information on the easement. That clarifies a lot of things. As Councilor Demers had said, the property dispute, that's not up to us. It absolutely seems like you have an issue going on there, which will have to be addressed. But what's before us is having the one storage unit. We said this in the past meetings, and I believe almost all of us have said this, that we're very concerned about setting precedents, especially in this area and being downtown. But we also want to support small businesses. It's very important, especially a small family business. I'm not against the one storage unit for the 1 year. But I would not support it to be done again, which we have done in the past on a few occasions. But that was also before Council Demers brought up about 6 months, having the storage container for 6 months. I guess my question is, that brings us to May. What does that do for you? Does that give you enough
It
time?
doesn't help at all. to be
It doesn't help, and why? Why is
It
that?
helps a little, but
honest. It helps for Thanksgiving and
if we were to have limitations
Christmas.
less than a year, we would request to be after 4th of July. 4th of July, it is the busiest holiday for us. It's bigger than Thanksgiving, it's bigger than Christmas. So if you could extend it and be 8 months instead of 6
like
months.
a week after 4th of July.
4th of
would be
July,
great.
yeah.
I can work with that a lot better.
Just to
Clerk
let you know,
Higgins.
the special permit doesn't issue right away, so it'd be whenever the special permit issues if you put a time month on it. If you put a specific date, then the specific date would be controlling. So if you say 6 months, it's whenever 6 months from the date of the issuance.
Okay, so then we could put a potential date of whatever the week is after 4th of July or whatever, but I mean, it's something we can talk about. Because I also don't want to tie your hands. Obviously, we knew Christmas, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't recall you saying 4th of July, you might have before?
Yeah, for the summer. it's-
Yes, okay. But I'm also not against doing the 1 year. I would like to hear what the other councilors have to say about that, because we have given that to people in the past, to petitioners, so I'm not against that, but I absolutely am against having it re-upped again after that.
Right.
So, and we had talked about looking that potentially you could find a smaller little area, a property where you could store your food, or anything like that, that would help you out, and that would give you plenty of time to find something. Because I guess the thought in my head is that if we give 6 months, this is their busy time, she's not gonna have enough time to go ahead and really find the property that she's going to need, because she's gonna be busy. Obviously, you're working there during the busy time. So, I guess that's my thought as well, but I'm not against the 1 year.
Even if it's 1 year, I'm probably gonna be removing after August, I would say, because I would never keep it before Thanksgiving to know that I'm not gonna be able to renew it, because there's no point. So I have to buy like a month before to make sure I have enough supply for Thanksgiving,
Sure.
Christmas.
And I'm not against going to the week after July 4th, whatever it happens to be, but I want to defer to the ward counselor on this as well, which I haven't heard,
I will.
your opinion on this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. Bravo, ladies, bravo.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. That's all I'm going to say. I support 100% having the container there. You might want to look, I will, through the chair to Councilor Campbell, say I won't support it again this time next year, but perhaps you could speak to the building commissioner about building something permanent,
Yes, and we
On
spoke
your
about it.
property.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
and we'll tax it, but that's okay.
I know.
But again, so I don't even know you all that well, but I have to say, I sat in this seat. I was so proud to hear all of the work you did. You persevered, and it wasn't easy.
No, it
So-
wasn't easy at all.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Toro.
Thank you. When did you have the container installed, roughly?
It was June, July, before 4th of July, for sure.
Okay. So I think most people here have expressed their support for your petition. I think, in my personal opinion, I'll support what the masses want to do here. But I think it's fair to give you basically 6 months to start. you, it seems like unintentionally, put the storage container on your property thinking it was by right. If it were done the right way, you would have come in front of us and we would have potentially granted you a year from when,
Right.
at one point, and then you would have had it for a year and then would have had to come in front of us. You've had it essentially on your site for roughly 6 months at this point. So in my opinion, it should be a 6 month granting it for 6 months, which essentially gives you a year of this container, right? 6 months before us, 6 months approved by us. And then I would potentially support a few more months of an extension past July. But I think, in all fairness to every other petitioner that goes about it the right way, and again, I'm not saying you did it the wrong way purposely, but for everyone that does it the right way, they get a year from us. And if we give you 6 months from now, or roughly from this point, you would have had a year of this container. And again, I won't support a full year. I would support potentially if we were to do till sometime in May, which I think is 6 months, and then you came back in front of us, as long as the landscape remains the same, nothing crazy happens, I would be okay with giving you maybe a 3-month extension to get you past 4th of July, but I wouldn't support anything else after that. I just think, in fairness to everybody else that goes through this process, if we gave you a year from now, you really have 18 months. You've had 18 months with the container, which, in my opinion, gives other people, hey, why don't I try to get it on my property for a couple months before I go in front of the council, and then I'll get another year. So I would only support 6 months. And I would be willing to give you a slight extension come May to get you past the 4th of July, but I wouldn't support a year at this point. And I'm a big business supporter. I own my own business, but I also think what we should do is we should be fair to everybody. And I think giving you the year, the 6 months now, gives you essentially a year, which everyone else goes through if they were to do it right on the front end. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Papalato?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I've heard, this talk about 6 months. I think it's a reasonable idea. You seem to push back and say 6 months isn't going to help you enough. And then I also heard you mention a July or August date. Is some magic about that? So what's
For me to
what's
be,
driving that?
yeah, ideal after summer. That'll be perfect for me because I do go past summer, and if I find something before, I'll remove it. I mean, I have no problem in removing, just like I removed the other one. I'm not here trying to push you guys for something. I'm just here thinking about my business right now.
Yeah.
But if I do find something before that, I'll definitely take it out before, winter comes.
And you've been before us a number of times, and you've bent over backwards to try to adhere to what we're asking for. I don't know if it's possible. Is a 9-month an option? Rather than 6,
anything
can we
is.
go to 9 months? That will cover both ends of this. That would be something that I'd put forward. Because I feel like it's important for us to try to help small business, like you've heard from the rest of this group. And I think that's a way of finding a middle ground to allow that to happen.
Thank you. Councilor Mercer Braun?
I just, through the chair to Councilor Toro, I agree with you 100%. The only difference I'll point out is most of the time we find out about these special permits after people got caught with them. I could count, I'm telling you, over the years, every single time. It is so rare for anyone to come to us and ask for one of these things. They're usually, and ask Commissioner Quinn, they're usually asking for forgiveness. Oh, we didn't know. So you're in a lot of company. Does that make it right? No, but I just wanted to point that out. You're not the only folks who have done it.
Yeah, I honestly did not know.
It's a small minority of
Yeah.
people who have come before us to ask for a permit. So, thank
Even
you.
with the Commissioner Quinn, like we agreed to disagree. It was all about perception. The wording that we saw on the code did not have the word container. That's the only thing. So we thought we had the right of use. It was not done intentionally, Mr. Toro.
No, I
And he agreed.
assume that. So I thought the intentions were all in good nature, so.
Yeah.
Councilor DeMambro.
And I just want to remind you folks, as well as my fellow councilors, if there's an easement that close to that building, you may want to go to the engineering department and the building department to find out if there's any buried utilities underneath that ground. If that's the case, you will not be able to build a structure over it. You can't build structures over drainage, sewer lines, water lines. Fixed structures are not allowed. So you're probably going to have to take and just seek out some information from the engineering department, just to make sure you see where your utilities are. That's why that temporary structure is not a bad idea, just in case you know, at some point, whenever, it may never happen, you have to access if there's anything buried under that ground. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Demers.
What are the dimensions of the container that we're talking about right now?
10 by 20.
10 by 20? All right, and you're okay with the rodent control, having to take care of that? Because we do have specific language, and we've been moving away from the standard rodent control to the one that doesn't impact other types of animals, just the rodents themselves.
I don't know.
Are
what
you
the
all right with that?
company uses. No. We hired a company and they do their job, so I'm not sure how
Okay,
they
because
do.
typically when we do a permit and we talk rodent control, we don't just say, yeah, just do rodent control, or that there's gotta be a rodent control plan submitted with building with the permit, so we have proof that that's being done. We can't just take somebody's word that, oh yeah, we have rodent control.
We can do
I
that.
mean, I have one colleague here saying that he didn't see anything around the building, which is usually those boxes.
There are some boxes.
Okay, there are some, all right, well,
The black ones.
as long as you submit to a rodent control plan being submitted, I'd be fine with that. Based on my colleagues' debates tonight, if you know, I'd be willing to go to a September 1. And that's it. Gets them through the summer, and then we're not talking about this again. Because I will say this, if we go to September 1, I'm probably not gonna vote for an extension at that time.
Makes sense.
You know, we were trying to find common ground with the 6 months. Seems like you're busy a lot, so. So I think it would be reasonable, but that would be my proposed action, would be, the permit would expire on September 1, 2026. And then I'd also like to remind everybody that because this is a special permit, we do have the ability to bring you in for special permit review. So if we get complaints about access issues or changing of parking area or something else that is on site that is impacting this, along with that, we can always bring you in to the Special Permits Committee and review any of the complaints that are there. So at any time, we could call you back for a review. So I think somewhere in between that 6 month, 1 year might work out. But like I said, it's going to be difficult for me to support an extension if the argument then is, oh, the busy season's coming up again.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right?
makes sense. Thank you.
I wouldn't request
Mhm.
again.
All right. Yeah, no, just saying, because we have to,
Yeah.
I want to be on the record so you know where we all stand.
Yes.
That's all. So those would be my proposed 3 conditions, would be no more than one 10 by 20 container, that a rodent control plan be submitted with the building commissioner's office, or excuse me, the Board of Health, right? We go Board of Health or building commissioner? Board of Health. And then
It's both.
the special permit would expire September 1, 2026. Those are my proposed 3 conditions if we were to move forward with accepting this.
Just a clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
They did submit a amended proposal, so I don't know if you want to
Okay, so
accept
we
the
want that.
amendment. And we also, I don't have a plan of record date.
Okay. Of record.
You haven't done it yet, you can vote for them, allow them to amend their petition to the one
Yep.
container.
Yep, so I'll actually make that motion right now to allow the petitioner to amend from the 2 containers to the 1.
There is a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
All right, so what is the most recent? So I have here that an updated plan on 11/20 communication was not stamped. Do you have a stamped version of that?
Yeah, I request the the architect to send me again. He was away this week, but he said he's gonna forward me. I can print
She
it
did
out
represent
again.
that to me in the
Yes.
office too, that she
Yeah.
was gonna provide, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
mean,
just
I'm,
don't know if the date will, the plan will change if the stamp.
I really thought it was a stamp. I print out and everything,
no,
and then
it's
she
totally
pointed
fine.
out. I was
I'm
like,
just,
oh my
I'm
gosh,
just
I
trying
can't
to
believe-
come up with the condition language
Yeah.
so we cover this and some,
Okay.
if anybody, I'll yield the floor, Mr. President. If
Is there
anybody-
anyone else that would like to speak on this? Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Originally, I wouldn't go with a 9-month extension from this point, but however, after hearing everybody on the council, I will go with that tonight. And then just through the chair to Councilor Demers, I believe now the quarterly reports are sent to the Board of Health and Inspectional Services.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just from the chair, again, this is my ward. Like many things we do here, there's a balance. We always want to encourage downtown businesses, and there's a balance to make sure the downtown residents are happy living next to the businesses. So that's a lot of what we have to look at. In this particular case, we've heard from the fire department, we've heard from the building commissioner, and I thank all my fellow councilors for really pounding this out and figuring it out, because many of the questions that I had, they've taken care of. I appreciate them letting me give my feedback without deliberating on this, and I think all the suggestions I've heard so far to the point of allowing this for 9 months seem to be a great balance. When it does come to the public comment, I am going to read an email that I received today from one of the abutters, but except for that, I thank all my fellow councilors for working this out. Thank you. Anyone else before we open the public comment?
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight?
Good and yourself. Good evening.
Just state your name and address, please.
My name is Olga Lebron Sanchez. I am the property owner of 7 and 9 Mans Court. My concern only is parking. It's always been a problem with the parking, and right now it looks like we're not going to see the new parking lot until probably 2026, 2027. We don't know, the one that's up in Mans Court. You know, my problem is I try my best to avoid pulling up into her lot when I had to back into my driveway. Tonight, when I was trying to do that, one of her customers was parked right next to the garbage containers. So they were actually parked in the middle of the street. So I try to pull up against that so I could pull in, and I couldn't do that. So I have no choice but to pull into her parking lot. My neighbor's the same thing. Her parking lot, matter of fact, her driveway is literally in front of the two barrels. So when she tries to back in, she has the exact same problem I do. When the snow comes now with the winter, the way the snow is all piled up, it gets piled up against that. So then we definitely have a problem backing into our driveways. So for us, our problem is just the parking. Now with especially the winter ban parking is in effect, that's going to affect us as well. And her customers still always park right there on that side road. And that's one of the main problems we always have. Other than that, I mean, everything I think has been fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with her. In the beginning, we did just because she wasn't a neighborly neighbor. We just clashed. But I personally don't have a problem with her. I'm successful that she is happy with her business. I want that. But not when it's going to affect the neighbors. That's when it becomes a problem. We're the ones that live there. She doesn't. We're the ones that have to put up with all the stuff that happens in that area. She doesn't. She only has to deal with it while she's there during her business hours. But we have to deal with it 24/7 because we live there. I just hope that there's some type of medium way that everybody's going to be happy for her business and for neighbors as well. That's all I want. I've been there for over 50 years. I've seen that building go from a laundromat, a video store, a restaurant. I mean, it's been so many different businesses that she's been, I think, the longest successful one besides the laundromat that was there. And I just want everybody to be happy. I just want everyone to just get along and just try to come to a happy medium resolution.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight, Chris?
Good, how are you? Christopher Sylvia, 13 Bennett Street. I don't have any expert knowledge on the various minutia of property stuff, but, when it comes to parking, I think a lot of the purpose of a business like hers is that it is in the middle of town and people can walk to it. If people wanted to park somewhere to get their groceries, they'd go to Stop and Shop. And so I think this sort of business is exactly what we need to have a vibrant downtown. And, unfortunately, having these sorts of issues is one of the prices that we pay for having a main street. But I think that, having a main street like this is important and it makes our town a lot better. I think one thing that those of us, I haven't been here for a while, but I've looked at the history of it, and just across from this property, there's the old building that burned down, and you had the Salem Street parking lot built there. I just think maybe there's a better use for that than a parking lot. I think the city might want to look into that if she wants to expand her business to something that looks bigger. But anyways, I think that 9 months sounds good on the particular matter, but I think it's very important for the city to support these sorts of businesses because, it's what makes our city a city and have a main street and all that goes with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. If I can, just...
Yeah, seeing that there's nobody else to speak, Mr. President, I'd like to just clarify, if I may, through you to the clerk, how we would go about any conditional acceptance of the plan of record. Because if it's not stamped, so in the submission on 11/20, does that plan have a new date on it?
Has the dates. So the issue date 7/25/2025, and then it says a revision table 10/20/25.
Okay.
Perhaps maybe a letter from the engineer that say, whoever's stamping the plan saying that nothing has changed from this plan. I don't know.
What was the 10,
For
it
the
was,
city
it was,
solicitor.
it was 10/20/2025?
Yeah, nothing changed. They only removed the picture of the container. That's it.
All right, so I would propose condition 4, that the plan of record be 10/20/2025, provided that no substantial,
Write a stamp copy.
provided that the stamped copy shows no substantial differences.
So you need to require a stamp copy too. So, plan of record provided, you have to require that the stamp copy be provided as well, so.
So we'll do that, the engineer will provide,
Engineer provides stamp plan,
that-
substantial conformity with the plan
That's-
dated 10/20/2025.
exactly. Thank you, Madam
And that shall be the
Clerk.
plan of record.
Yep, thank you, Madam Clerk.
I'd second that.
So everyone heard that? Everyone's good, or does it need it repeated? Everyone's good? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'll make a motion to close the, if you had
If
some
I
final
can
words,
read
Mr.
into the
President. No, I'll
record.
withdraw.
Thank you. I received this email November 18th, 10:39 a.m. To the city of Woburn. I am writing in opposition to the petition for Casanova Restaurant to place one and or two storage containers in the parking area behind their storefront on Main Street. My objections are previous articulated in two prior meetings are: I have a legally registered easement. A recorded easement has been sent along with this email and previously provided at the first meeting. Running through this parking area, and there is no location in Casanova's parking area for the proposed containers that will not encroach or encumber this easement. This easement is necessary for the tenants of my property, 474-482 Main Street. My tenants include four families and two commercial units, dentist office and restaurant. 2, storage containers reduce Casanova's parking by 4 spaces, forcing their customers to park on the street and in the parking lot, as well as my private designated parking lot. Parking is, of course, an issue in requirements discussed typically by the planning board and licensing boards, which has not been included in this discussion/issues. 3, snow storage has not been fully taken into account with this discussion. Arguably, Casanova will have to store their snow in the few remaining parking spaces, which only make the problems worse for my building as well as the residents of Mans Court. 4, the onus of additional storage required by Casanova should not be granted at the detriment and inconvenience to the residents of Mans Court, the 4 families living in my property, and the commercial residents of my 2 business tenants. 5, the storage container or containers will be a significant problem to fire and first responders of any emergency issues of neighboring and abutting properties. This will create a very dangerous environment, as discussed previously by the Woburn Fire Department in a letter to this council. Casanova has, without permission, already had 1 and 2 containers on the property without City of Woburn consent or permitting for almost 1 year. Casanova has had electricity brought to one or both of the containers, assumably without City of Woburn electrical permit or inspection. Casanova has put no effort into alternative storage solutions, knowing this was a continuous issue by the city and abutting properties. Allowing Casanova this permitting will set an impossible precedent for others seeking similar relief. The allowances of this permit for one person/business is at the real expense of many more properties, businesses, and residents. Residences noted to have special need considerations for handicapped persons. I apologize for not attending tonight's meeting because I am out of state. Thank you for the council's consideration. Respectfully, Michael Palmer. Thank you.
I just have can I ask questions on the conditions, just so I'm clear what we have,
Yes.
or what you have? I have 1, there shall be no more than 1 10-by-20 container. 2, the rodent control plan shall be submitted to the Board of Health and Inspectional Services. 3, the special permit shall expire on September 1st, 2026. And that the petitioner's engineer shall provide a stamped plan in substantial conformity with the plan dated 10/20/25, which shall be the plan of record. Thank you.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion the special permit be granted with the 4 conditions as outlined here this evening.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you,
Demers.
good luck.
Luck.
Good luck.
I see that the city auditor is back in the room.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and
Take the table.
take from the table the first matter on this evening's.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
I'll also make a motion that we receive and make part of the permanent record the document that the auditor has to collectively. Presentation, we usually used to get that wire-bound copy of the, that doesn't do anything else, so it's an electronic copy. I thought it had been sent over, and I apologize if it hadn't been received by the council. I resent it tonight to the city clerk. I also made hard copies of the financial package itself.
Thank you, Charlie.
And then I made a copy of CBiz's governance letter that they were referring to when we were talking to you earlier today. But make both, these both being. Make a motion that we take them collectively and make them part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks. Thanks, Lindsay. Ooh, it's hot off the presses. Yeah, will do.
Still warm, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. I think it probably makes sense to, you went too deep into it, to start over.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. So if everybody's ready, I can run through that again, maybe in a little bit less detail this time, or? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the annual governance letter to those charged with governance, being the council.
Sorry, could you state your name for the record
Oh,
again, since people? Yeah.
sorry, yes. Frank Soretti from CBiz CPAs. I'm Managing Director with CBiz. So the governance letter, the first section there, starts off with the auditor's responsibilities for the audit, and the primary responsibility of the auditor for the audit is the expression of opinions on the financial statements as to whether they are fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Next section talks about our responsibilities, the next paragraph, for planning and performing the audit, and considering internal control when developing our audit procedures, but we don't give an opinion on internal controls as part of that. Goes on to talk about obtaining reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. We perform test of compliance with provisions of laws, regs, grants to verify compliance with those. However, we do not provide an opinion on compliance with those laws and regulations. And then it talks about required supplementary information. GAAP requires that information to be included in the financial statements. However, we perform limited procedures on the required supplementary information, and that's management's discussion and analysis, which is one of the first sections in the report. Also, the budget to actual schedule for the general fund, the pension and OPEB schedules. Next section on page 2 starts off talking about the plan scope, timing, and significant risks related to the audit, and talks about the fact that the audit includes examining on a test basis evidence supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements, and involves judgment about the number of transactions that will be selected and examined as part of the audit. And the last sentence in that paragraph, or that section, talks about significant risks that have been considered as part of the audit, and management override of internal controls is always considered a significant risk in all the audits that we do. There's nothing unique there to the city. However, that means that management has the authority and the discretion to override controls. And that creates the potential for fraud, and it makes it more difficult to detect misstatements in the financial statements. So to respond to that risk, we're required to perform procedures, and those procedures include incorporating an element of unpredictability into the audit, and that means that we don't perform the same audit procedures every year. We introduce new audit procedures so that the management doesn't know exactly what to expect from us. From a procedural standpoint, we also test journal entries. That's a real key area for preventing management override of controls, is having good, strong controls over the journal entry process. And so we test a number of those entries. We use our internal data service center to make the selections, and they make those selections based on criteria that we put in, and we try to pick things that wouldn't be typical, that you wouldn't typically expect to see. We also assign experienced staff to the engagement, review estimates for bias, and we evaluate significant and unusual transactions. Happy to report that based on all the procedures that we performed, there was nothing that came to our attention that suggested any kind of management override of controls that might have occurred. And right after that, it talks about qualitative aspects of accounting practices, and that management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. Those accounting policies can be found in Note 1 to the financials, which you just received a copy of. There were no new policies adopted during the year, and the application of existing policies was not changed. And then it talks about accounting estimates being an integral part of the financial statements, and they're based on management's knowledge and experience about past and current events, as well as assumptions about future events. The most significant estimates in the financial statements relate to the net pension liability, the net OPEB liability, and depreciation on fixed assets. We reviewed the underlying assumptions that we used to develop the estimates, and we found them to be reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. Next page, at the top of page 3, it talks about certain financial disclosures being particularly sensitive to the financial statements. And again, those are the pension and OPEB disclosures. And we found those disclosures to be neutral, consistent, and clear. Next section talks about difficulties encountered while performing the audit. As I mentioned, we're happy to report that we had no difficulties in dealing with management while performing the audit. Everybody was great about getting us the information that we needed, answering our questions. So the audit went very well from that standpoint. Independence, we're required to perform what they consider to be some non-attest services as part of the audit. And that includes drafting the financial statements, consolidating the governmental activities and business type activities, and converting the financial statements to the accrual basis of accounting. We also prepare the data collection form, which is the form that gets submitted to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse that reports your expenditures of federal awards and results of the audit. And as part of those performing those non-attest services, we're required to evaluate our independence and take a look at our role, management's role. And based on that evaluation, we determined that our independence would not be impaired, in fact, or appearance. And those are standard non-attest services that we perform for all of our Massachusetts municipal clients. That's not unusual in any way. Next section talks about corrected and uncorrected misstatements. And we're required to communicate to management all known and likely misstatements that we've identified during the audit, unless they're clearly trivial. We had a couple of adjustments that we had proposed, and those are included in this. It's the last page of this document, and they relate to, they don't change your bottom line at all. They were things that were not material enough that we were required to record for the financial statements, but they were recorded by the city auditor on the city's books. So these things have been corrected. And the first one is just a reclassification between two different receivable accounts. And that was just for some reconciling items that had been carried, and just to clean that up. And then the other one was reclassifying some credit, real estate and personal property receivable balances to liability accounts called collector's liability account. So no issues there, no concerns or anything with that, but we are required to communicate those to you. Disagreements with management is defined as a financial accounting, reporting, or auditing matter, whether or not resolved to our satisfaction, that could be significant to the financial statements or to the auditor's report. I'm happy to report that there are no such disagreements with management during the course of the audit. And then there's management consultation with other independent accountants. And it is possible that management might decide to consult with other accountants about auditing and issuing an opinion on the financial statements, similar to obtaining a second opinion. And our standards just require that other accounting firm to check with us to make sure that they have all the relevant facts if that does occur. To my knowledge, that has not occurred. And other audit findings and issues, we generally discuss a variety of matters, including the application of accounting practices and auditing standards prior to retention as auditors. And all of those discussions occurred in the normal course of our professional discussions, and none of those matters are a condition of our retention as auditors for the city. So those are really the things in there that I wanted to highlight. And then I did have a few financial highlights that I wanted to share with you pretty quickly. Actually, the overall results of the audit, we were able to issue an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion. It's the best you can get. It means your financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The information that we received was accurate, and that's evidenced by the fact that we really didn't have many significant adjustments. Responses to our audit inquiries were timely. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control were noted. You still maintained your AAA rating with the S&P, which is great. The city got that rating in 2020. From general fund balance totaled $92.2 million. Of that, $13.8 million was considered to be committed. Of that committed amount, $5.2 million relates to the Affordable Housing Stabilization Trust Fund. Another $1.8 relates to the Special Education Stabilization Trust. And then another $6.8 million is for continuing appropriations. $6.9 million of your total fund balance was assigned. 2.4 of that relates to encumbrances carried over to the next year, and another 4.5 million relates to free cash that was voted for the next year's budget. Your unassigned, that left you with unassigned fund balance of $71.5 million. That's about 41% of your budget, and that includes your general stabilization fund, which totaled $16.3 million, and that stabilization fund increased by about $1.1 million from the prior year. Collections continue to be very strong. For real estate and personal property tax, you collected 99% of your commitment, which is a great collection rate. Budgetary results, you had a $4.3 million general fund surplus. Revenues came in about $7.1 million over budget. Real estate and personal property was about 1.2. Motor vehicle excise, 844, departmental and other, 1.4, that's mainly building permits and the solar farm. And then you had a good year for investment income. You were over budget there by 2.2 million. Your expenditures also came in 2.1 million under budget. The largest of that being 722,000 for public safety. And you also had a decrease in your carry forwards, and that's just timing of when you're committing funds at the end of the year versus when you receive the goods or services, but has the effect of increasing your fund balance. And so all of those increases were offset by the use of the $7.4 million of free cash that was used to fund various appropriations. And that's really how you got to your $4.3 million surplus. Net pension liability totaled $109.3 million. That was an $11.9 million increase from the prior year. That increase is mainly due to changes in assumptions that the actuary made in accordance with, in conjunction with management. Most significant changes were a change in the discount rate from 7.5 million. It was decreased to 7.2 .25. That would actually increase your liability. Mortality improvement scales were updated, and your COLA base was increased from 15,000 to 18. The system is 64% funded, which is about the same as what it was in the prior year. For OPEB, you contributed another $750,000 to your OPEB trust fund. The fund balance in that trust now is about $13.4 million. It increased by about $2 million when you add your investment income to that, so you're starting to develop a pretty substantial balance there. Your net OPEB liability was $230.9 million, and that was a $2.6 million increase from the prior year. The discount rate for OPEB actually increased from 4.23 to 4.44%. And the OPEB trust, their funded ratio on that went up from 4.8 to 5.5%. So you're making some progress funding your OPEB liability, which is great. Didn't really have much debt activity. Had some debt principal payments, and your debt overall, general fund debt service is about 4.4% of your budget. And those are really the financial highlights. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just the report on federal awards. And so for any entities that are expending $750,000 or more in federal funds are required to have what's referred to as a single audit. And the city did exceed that threshold. You expended $7.3 million of federal awards. We tested the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds program, which is otherwise known as ARPA, and also Title I programs. Happy to report we had no findings related to the federal awards, no question cost, and no deficiencies in internal controls, so that was a clean report, and great results there. So that was everything that I had to go over.
Councilor Viola.
Good evening. Would you be able to give us a copy of all those statistics and financials that you just went over for the highlights?
Yeah, sure.
Just so we have it broken down.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Papalato.
Thank you. You shot a lot of numbers at us there in a quick time frame.
Sure.
So I jotted a few things down. One question I have is on page 2 of the first document that you referenced. You talked about we have identified management override of controls as a significant risk. Is there some kind of remediation step we should be doing to address that, or what?
No. That's just part of our risk assessment that we go through for every audit that we do. And so we have to look at all of the entities that we're auditing, and we have to basically determine if there's any significant risk of material misstatement. And our standards, the accounting standards, say that management override of control, we have to always consider that to be a significant risk of material misstatement. So
Needed in some cases, I assume. I mean, there's
to override
situations that arise
controls?
that would require you to need that, right?
To override controls?
Yeah.
You should have controls in place. Like, you don't want one person to be able to override controls, and so you want to have controls in place to prevent that. Like, there's times when you might need to, make an adjustment to the books, but there are controls that you can have in place to make sure that one person can't do that on their own without others knowing, where they could actually hide something or manipulate something. So there are ways to make adjustments, but you just don't want someone to have the ability to, do it on their own if you can prevent that.
One other, all those numbers that you were shooting at us.
Sure.
I thought I heard you said the stabilization fund had $68 million there, and it's up by $1 million over the prior year. Did I get that right?
The general stabilization fund was 16.3 million.
16.3.
Yep.
Okay.
And that was an increase of 1.1 from the prior year. And so on the financial statements, if you want to flip a couple pages, I can show you where that appears and what I was going over there. If you were to go to page 19, you'll see the first column on page 19 is the general fund. And at the bottom section is the fund balance section. So that's what I was covering first. And so I started off by telling you that the general fund balance totaled $92.2 million. So let me know if you see that in the first column there down at the bottom. You should see total fund balance for the general fund, $92,187,382. second number from the bottom. And then I just started going over the other components. There's like a restricted, a committed, assigned, and unassigned. And so unassigned is the number that is available, funds that are available. And for the financial statements, the stabilization fund actually is included in the general fund. And the general stabilization fund is in the unassigned fund balance. And so that's kind of what I was saying at the end. You have unassigned of $71.5 million, but of that, 16.3 million is your stabilization fund. So usually when you're looking at your own internal financial statements and records, you don't combine the stabilization fund with the general fund, but GAAP requires it to be in there, so that's why I was highlighting that.
But in general, would you say we're getting reasonable returns on things?
Yeah, I think the returns, this was a good year for returns.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Favula.
Just a real quick follow-up to clarify on the management override. You're saying that's something you tested for, not something you found, correct? Not a finding letter, is it?
It's, yeah. We're looking for that, like, while we're doing the audit, but
That's enough there.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
But we didn't find it.
That's where I was trying to
Okay.
clarify. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Everyone's good? Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you,
Have a
Charlie.
good night.
I just want to say, if there is any questions you have after
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Make a motion that the matter is placed on file.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion to return to the regular order of business.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
It's gonna figure out where we are.
Take your time.
Okay, I think
Start numbering the pages.
we are now back to public hearings, and it is the public hearing by President Dillon, proposed zoning amendment to, by new line 114A to section 5.1 table of use regulations, prohibiting virtual currency kiosks in all zoning districts. A communication that was not on the consent agenda dated November 13th, 2025 was received from John Cashell, the planning director, is the recommendation.
Make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Now, per the recommendation of the planning board, I'll make a motion that we amend the petition so that the proposal, line 114A, in section 5.1, table of use of regulations reads virtual currency kiosks instead of cryptocurrency kiosks by roll call.
I will call.
Roll call to make those amendments. Counsel Campbell.
Aye.
Counsel Demers.
Aye.
Counsel DeMambro.
Aye.
Counsel Ferrulo.
Aye.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Aye.
Counsel Papalato.
Aye.
Counsel Toro.
Aye.
Counsel Viola.
Aye.
President Dillon.
Aye.
Make a motion the public hearing's open.
Second.
Motion and a second to open a public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Good evening.
You, Attorney Savati.
I'm well. How are you, all of you? This came to my attention a couple of months ago by Captain Driscoll regarding an issue that the city is already involved with, really. He'll explain it a little more in depth, but there are these kiosks that were put in place in various locations, mainly convenience stores. They look just like an ATM, and it's used for not only nefarious purposes, but also the company takes a percentage of the amount that the person puts in that they don't have to pay when they're typically doing that online. So we thought it best to prohibit them in all zones. I did talk to this city of Gloucester, who have already banned it. Waltham is banning it, and I talked to the Mass DA, who is in favor of this ban, and is they're looking at banning it at the state level as well. So with that, I'll have Captain Driscoll come up and explain it a little better.
How are you tonight, Captain Driscoll?
Good evening.
Thank you
Good,
for
yourself?
your time. Good, thank you.
A little short here. So I'm coming up here, obviously, to field any questions you have. This has been going on for a few months. Over the last 2 years, tried to pull as much as I could information on the scams we've had. We're up to about $1.4, $1.5 million reported scams to the Woburn Police Department, just in Woburn. Again, that's only reported to us. A lot of the victims, I'm assuming this is embarrassing for them, and I'm sure we're missing plenty of scams, and that's not probably the total amount of money that is lost from our own residents. I think this is very important for the city residents. My personal opinion, not the city of Woburns, but they're really not used regularly by the residents. I don't think they're needed there. If you want to buy cryptocurrency, you can do it online for a much lower fee. These crypto virtual ATMs, whatever you want to call them, they're put at the front of the store. They're taking rakes. They vary daily. What they do is, if, say, Bitcoin or whatever coin you're buying is $100, they'll jack that fee up based on a bunch of different criteria. How many people are mining it at the time, transaction fees, but it's averaged, from the research I've done, anywhere from 12 to 13%, all the way up to 20%. Like I said, a reasonable person wouldn't be going in there buying crypto that way. A lot of these people going in and buying crypto that comes to us, it's due to scams, and that's the only way that they would buy this from a crypto ATM. If anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer. I'm not a crypto expert, but I've run a bunch of these investigations, and it's very, very hard to solve any of these because the coin it's transferred from wallet to wallet to wallet. Once it hits an exchange, and the other side of this is trying to turn this money into whatever currency it is. A lot of the times this is done and they're put in place, and they're doing these on exchanges that are not viewing our legal process. So even if we serve them something, a subpoena, any type of legal process to get the suspect's information or to seize or freeze the funds, we hit a dead end. We are successful with a few of them, but even if we are successful, the next step is, how do you seize the funds? There's just so much to this. They kind of just get caught up and there's no resolution to it.
Councilor Ferrullo was first.
Captain Driscoll, that has a nice ring to it.
Don't, Chief.
What's the wind down plan? And this is probably more of Attorney Savati question. I've had two different merchants in the city approach me, prominent businessmen that have these. They may have longer term leases than when it goes into effect. What's the plan to get these out of town? And it's more of a curiosity question
Sure.
than a policy question.
I think the idea will be through the building department, that the commissioner is going to go in and give them advance notice. They'll have some time to remove them. He may give them 30, 60 days. They may convince them of something different, but it'll be a zoning violation at this point.
Okay.
So if they keep them after a certain time, they'll start issuing fines. So it's only going to be a civil matter as far as the city's concerned, but they can still go after them through the criminal process. But from our standpoint, for now, it'll just be a civil violation.
Thank you both for taking a proactive approach to this. Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Braun.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because just by virtue of what you both have done, you've probably saved millions and millions and millions of dollars for the residents of Woburn. So thank you. I can't even imagine how difficult it is to keep up with the scams that come with technology. So again, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Campbell.
Where are these kiosks being
Um,
placed?
So just for a few examples, I mean, they're any, Minute Mart, DB Mart, Lucky Mart, they're in some gas stations. We counted from the current detective lieutenant we're in the double digits, over 10. I don't know exactly how many, but they'll solicit anyway. What they do is they'll call up the, wherever it is, whatever the convenience store is or gas station, and they'll say, hey, let's get one in there. You'll get X amount of money, and they solicit them to be in there.
The merchant I spoke to said
it
that
won't be a
it's
big
14.
loss to the vendor, to the store owner either. They get a very small amount. The 12 and 13% that he was discussing goes to the company that owns it, not to the store owner.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Councilor DeMambro.
Driscoll, I appreciate all your efforts on this. My question is, how are these machines allowed to even come in to our state. Like, it seems like it's just one big scam. On top of everything else we've got with internets and robocalls, and you see it all over the news that they have these closets full of cell phones just constantly calling people and extracting money from numerous people, various ages. And I don't understand how a shop owner can take and having a machine like this brought into a respectable business, but yet there's fraud attached to this. That can be fraudulent. There's a scam to it. And my other concern is when you say walls, how far this money goes, where you guys can't, the police department, detectives, so on and so forth, law enforcement can't find, the culprits or track them down or bring them to prosecution. Is this something that goes all the way overseas, like many scams?
Instantly, yes. So, answer your first question, legally, I don't know. I mean, crypto and crypto investing so new in the grand scheme of investing that I think a lot of these, I don't think these business owners are saying, come in, I want to promote fraud. I think it's just another avenue for them to get money, right? I know there is a lot of regulation. If you look, again, this is unconfirmed, but if you look on the internet, there is a lot of regulation in other states, and not so much bans, but more regulation, meaning if you're a first-time user of these, you're capped at $2,000 instead of $25,000. So there is a lot of regulation going on right now. There's a lot of states that recognize that these are promoting fraud. They're a vehicle for fraud. So yeah, I don't know how they get in there. I just think it's so new and it's very confusing. Crypto's very confusing, and it confuses a lot of people. So they just
And that was my
probably
follow-up
agree to it.
question. What are the limits here? You mentioned $100. Now you're saying $25,000 in some
There are
instances.
limits. I don't know if it's store to store, but from what I'm told, some are $10,000, some are $25,000. I can't tell you definitively if there's an exact amount in Massachusetts, but I know other states have put regulations in that say, hey, if you go in, you're a first-time user, you can only do up to, say, $2,000. I think it's Maryland that has that one. But if you look, there is regulations there. And yes, to answer your second question, it's instant. So when you put that money in the machine, it's gone. So with a lot of these scammers, what they'll do is they'll get someone on the hook and say, hey, your bank has been compromised. Don't call X bank because the employee there is involved. Go withdraw $20,000. Here's a QR code on your phone. You can put that QR code up to, and that QR code's a wallet, right? You're not going to own it. The scammer's going to own it. You're going to go in, you're going to put it up to the ATM. It's going to scan it. You're going to put the money in. That money's going directly to that wallet. We can't then go serve a search warrant or a seizure warrant on that ATM because that money's gone. We'd then be technically taking the company's money. But yes, I mean, it can be overseas in
seconds.
Correct. And then, like I said, a lot of the exchanges that I personally have dealt with, that I'm serving legal process to, with the help of the state, they don't recognize United States legal process, so it doesn't go anywhere.
And is there an age limit on these?
I don't know.
So you could be 12, 15 years old, 16 years old?
I don't know. I mean, they do require to set up a wallet, you do need to, it's called KYC, it's know your customer information. It's like almost like going to a bank and giving information to open one up, to then get your money back somewhere on the exchange. I don't know an age limit though, if there is or is not. I don't know.
Appreciate all your input and enforcement on this, and anything we can do to support it. Thank you.
Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you guys for being very proactive on this. I know when it comes to our residents, we want to be on top of it. The things like this, make sure they're safe and secure. It's crazy to hear that there's been 1.4 to 1.5 million that's been scammed out of them. Now, are these crypto ATMs, are they taking the place of people, say, like a grandmother's getting called saying, oh, your grandson, granddaughter's been arrested? Instead of get a gift card, put it in X amount of money, are they sending them people to these ATMs to put money there?
It's just another scheme, exactly. So that could be one of them, yes. Same thing, same idea. Yep.
Thank you. Well, thank you for everything you do.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Captain Driscoll. Thank you to the entire Woburn Police Department for all you do for our community as well.
All right, thank you. Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
All right.
Danny.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion that the zoning amendment as amended be adopted by roll call?
Second.
Roll call.
By roll call to adopt the amendment as amended. Counsel Campbell.
Aye.
Counsel Demers.
Aye.
Counsel DeMambro.
Aye.
Counsel Ferrullo.
Aye.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Aye.
Counsel Papalato.
Aye.
Counsel Toro.
Aye.
Counsel Viola.
Aye.
President Dillon.
Aye. Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is committee reports, public safety and license, petitions for 2026 renewal first-class motor vehicle sales licenses. The committee report was received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
On the
That
petition, oh, sorry,
that passes.
sorry.
That's okay.
On the petition for 26 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Make a motion that the committee report be adopted?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention, Papalato.
Thank you. That passes.
Next item on the agenda is communication dated October 30th, 2025, from Ellen Crowley, the Chair of the Woburn School Committee, regarding notice, sorry, that's spelling error, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15A, determination that Gillis Field is no longer required for educational purposes.
That'll be received and placed on file?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Under motions, orders, and resolutions, an order changing the filing deadline for the December 2nd, 2025 City Council regular meeting to November 24th, 2025 at 1 p.m.
Make a motion the order be adopted?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
I believe there's some late filings.
Make a motion we suspend the rules to add the following three items to the order of the day.
The first order is the order that the City Council regular meeting for the December 2nd, 2025 and December 16th, 2025 shall begin at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Next two are from the Traffic Commission. One is the order that the Schedule 1 parking restrictions of the 2017 Woburn Traffic Code be further amended by adding the following. Mill Street, no parking on the northerly side from a point 116 feet north of Washington Terrace to a point 330 feet north of Washington Terrace, and Mill Street, no parking on the southerly side from a point 450 feet north of Washington Terrace to a point 187 feet north of Washington Terrace.
Make a motion the orders are adopted?
That's one order.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
On the next order from the Traffic Commission, be it ordered that Schedule 2 turning and moving restrictions of the 2017 Woburn Traffic Code be amended further by adding Mill Street, no through traffic easterly from the intersection with Washington Street, and Mill Street, no through traffic northerly from the intersection with Washington Terrace.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion to return to the regular order?
Second.
Motion and a second to return to the regular order. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. We are adjourned at 8:53.